They say love is blind, but mine was deaf, dumb, and dangerously loyal. My name is Emma. I'm 29 years old, and until 6 months ago, I was engaged to a man I believed I'd grow old with, Sean. Tall, funny, ambitious, the kind of guy who made strangers in the room instantly feel like his friend. He was magnetic, and I was completely helpless to it. We met during a thunderstorm. No, really, a literal downpour. I was standing under the awning outside a coffee shop, trying to avoid ruining the last clean dress I owned that week. He offered to share his umbrella. I said no, out of instinct. He smiled and said, "Well, that's too bad, because I was hoping to use that as a pickup line." I laughed. He offered again. I said yes. 6 weeks later, we were practically inseparable. Sean was thoughtful in all the ways I'd always dreamed someone could be. He'd leave notes on my mirror, surprise me with flowers, text me, "You're my piece," every day at 11:11. He got along with my friends. My parents loved him. But the person who really clicked with him was my best friend, Nina. They hit it off immediately. She was charming too, in a bold, fiery kind of way. The opposite of me in many respects. She always joked that if I was water, she was fire. Where I avoided conflict, she dove into it. Where I overthought, she acted. But we were inseparable since college. So when the two of them got along so well, it felt like a blessing. Or so I thought. We moved in together a year after we met. He proposed on our 2-year anniversary. A perfect candlelit dinner, followed by a speech so sweet and personal, it made me forget how terrified I was of marriage in the first place. He knelt, I cried, he slipped on the ring, and in that moment, nothing else mattered. We started planning the wedding almost immediately. Nina was my maid of honor, of course. She squealed when I asked her, said she'd always dreamed of planning my wedding. And it all seemed perfect until the little things started piling up. The first red flag was so small, I told myself I was being paranoid. He started guarding his phone. Sean used to be the kind of guy who left his phone face up on the table, who didn't care if I used it to take pictures or order food. But suddenly, his phone started staying in his pocket, even in the shower. When I asked about it, he laughed. "Come on, Emma. I've been working on a surprise wedding gift. You can't go snooping now." I laughed too, because I wanted to believe that. The second red flag came from Nina. We were out dress shopping one afternoon, and I mentioned Sean acting weird. She immediately brushed it off. Too fast. "He's probably just stressed. Don't be that girl who gets suspicious over nothing." I hadn't even finished my sentence. Then came the email. I was booking vendors one night, going through my inbox, when I saw an email notification pop up on Sean's laptop. His screen lit up, and for a brief second, I saw it. Confirmed suite reservation for Mr. Sean Whitman. 2 guests, Friday through Sunday. I froze. 2 guests? I clicked on it before it disappeared. It was a weekend suite in a luxury hotel downtown, under his name, booked for this upcoming weekend, when he told me he had to fly out of town for a client pitch in Chicago. But that reservation wasn't in Chicago. It was here, in our city. My stomach dropped. I copied the confirmation number, called the hotel, pretended to be his assistant. "Yes, I just wanted to confirm the guest check-in for Mr. Sean Whitman this weekend. Is there any way to confirm if the reservation allows for early check-in?" The receptionist responded cheerily, "Let me check. Yes, Mr. Whitman has a suite reserved for Friday through Sunday. We have early check-in starting at noon. The room will be set up with the champagne and chocolate-covered strawberries as requested. Romantic touch." I barely remember hanging up. Romantic touch? That weekend, I told Sean I was going to visit my sister. He kissed me goodbye, told me to have fun, and that we'd FaceTime that night. I parked outside the hotel at 11:30 a.m. waited in the car with coffee I couldn't drink and hands that wouldn't stop shaking. At 12:17 p.m., I saw him. He got out of a rideshare wearing his favorite navy coat and carrying an overnight bag. And then I saw her, Nina, my best friend, my maid of honor, wearing a hoodie I'd seen in my own closet more times than I could count. Her arm slipped around his waist like it had done that 1,000 times before. They laughed. He kissed her forehead, and they walked in, hand in hand. I don't remember the drive home. I know I cried. I know I screamed into the steering wheel. I know I checked my phone 100 times, waiting for her to text me some lie, some excuse. But of course, she didn't. Neither of them did. Not that weekend, not that Monday, not that week. I didn't confront them right away. I couldn't. Something in me broke, something that couldn't be stitched back together overnight. But I did something else instead. I planned. Because if they could play me for a fool, I could play them for a finale. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling until 5 a.m., replaying everything in my head. Every smile, every I love you, every plan we made. Replaying Nina's hugs, her tears of joy when I showed her the engagement ring, her promises to always be there for me. It wasn't just that they cheated. It was that they built something behind my back while pretending to help me build my future. I knew if I confronted them too soon, they'd lie, twist it, call me crazy, maybe even say I imagined it. So I stayed silent. I let them think I didn't know. I needed time to breathe, to observe, to figure out what the hell had been going on, and for how long. The next morning, Sean came home with coffee, said his Chicago pitch went well, kissed me on the cheek, asked what I'd been up to with my sister. I nodded, smiled, said it was a relaxing weekend. He told me I looked tired. I told him weddings were stressful. He laughed and said, I can't wait to marry you. That's when I knew I couldn't just walk away. I needed the truth, the whole truth. And if I was going to burn this relationship to the ground, I was going to make sure there was nothing left but ashes. I started digging. First, his laptop. He always used the same password, Celtics88. I found a folder labeled Finances. Inside were spreadsheets, PDFs, and email receipts. Most of them were normal, invoices from caterers, tux rentals, honeymoon packages. But one file stood out. Joint account, Heritage Credit Union. Joint account. I clicked. My heart stopped. The name on the account? Sean Whitman and Nina Alvarez. My best friend. His secret partner. They'd opened the account over 18 months ago, before he even proposed. And the balance? Over $92,000. That was more than what we had in our wedding fund. I scrolled down. Dozens of deposits. Transfers from accounts I didn't recognize. Charges for hotels, jewelry, spa getaways, none of which I'd ever been a part of. I nearly threw up. I went to Nina's Instagram that night. She'd recently posted a picture of us from the engagement party, all smiles and champagne. Her caption read, "Can't wait to stand beside you as you marry the love of your life. Hashtag maid of honor, ride or die." I looked closer. One of the comments had a red flag emoji. It read, "Looks familiar." Curious, I clicked on the profile. It was private, but the profile pic? It was her, Nina, with Sean at a cabin in the mountains 6 months ago. She had a burner account. I created a fake profile and messaged her. She responded in under 10 minutes. Her name was Talia, and she told me everything. Nina and Sean had been seeing each other for over 2 years. They'd been on and off, according to Talia, sometimes passionate, sometimes fighting, but always intense. She said Nina would talk about how she was just waiting for him to make the right choice. Apparently, when Sean proposed to me, Nina lost it. They had a massive fight. But then he promised her something. He said the wedding was just a front, that I had money, that I was safe, that he'd figure it out. She stayed. They planned together. I couldn't breathe. I'd been funding my own betrayal. The ring he gave me, bought with the joint account. The trips we took, he reimbursed himself through the account with her name on it. And me, I was just the smiling puppet they kept in the dark, paying for everything with love, loyalty, and a heart that never saw it coming. But they underestimated one thing. I wasn't stupid. I wasn't some naive little girl they could manipulate forever. So I started preparing. I took screenshots, bank records, messages, created a folder, both digital and printed, with everything I found. I called off the venue, quietly. I canceled the photographer, the florist, the caterer. Told them all the same thing. Plans have changed. Please don't notify the groom. I'll handle it. They all agreed. Then I called my lawyer.
The week before the wedding, Sean was glowing. He kept saying how excited he was. "It's finally happening," he whispered one night, wrapping his arms around me. "Our forever." I wanted to scream, but I smiled. Because by then, I had already changed everything. The venue was canceled, the caterer refunded, the invitations never sent. I even had a new wedding dress delivered, one that would never be worn. And in my closet sat a red envelope. Inside it, every receipt, bank statement, hotel reservation, and screenshot. A full dossier. The life they built behind my back. My revenge? It wasn't loud. It was calculated. 3 days before the wedding, I met with Nina. I told her I needed help finalizing last-minute details. We met at our favorite wine bar, the same one where she once cried over a guy who ghosted her. I watched her sip Chardonnay across from me like nothing had ever happened. She asked if I was nervous. I said I was excited. Then I leaned in and asked her something I already knew the answer to. "Do you think Sean will cry when I walk down the aisle?" She paused, smiled, then said, "He'll cry, just not for the reasons you think." I stared at her. That was it. No more pretending. I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshots, showed her the joint account, the hotel bills, the messages from Talia. She froze. The mask cracked for just a second. Then she smirked. "You're not as clueless as I thought." She didn't deny it. She didn't apologize. She looked me in the eye and said, "You were never right for him. He needed someone real, someone who doesn't live in some perfect little bubble." I asked her why she stayed in my life, why she stood beside me during wedding fittings, why she let me cry on her shoulder after Sean's bad days. She laughed. "Because it was fun watching you try so hard for someone who was already mine." That broke something in me I didn't even know was still intact. I stood up, dropped the red envelope on the table. Inside, along with the evidence, was a printed note. "Don't bother showing up on Saturday. There won't be a wedding, but there will be a reckoning." That night, I went home and waited. Sean came home late. He looked tired, irritated, said traffic was awful, kissed my cheek, took a shower, watched TV like nothing was wrong. I sat across from him, watching him laugh at a show he wasn't even listening to. How many times had he lied like this? How many smiles had been rehearsed?
How many of my moments were just a cover for their moments? At 10:47 p.m., he got a text. He tilted his phone, hiding the screen. I said nothing. Instead, I whispered, "I'm excited for Saturday." He turned and smiled. Me too. The day before the wedding, I went silent. No texts, no calls, no panic. Just calm. The kind that comes before a storm. I checked into a hotel across town, the same one they used for their affair. Poetic justice. I brought wine, popcorn, and my laptop. And at 7 p.m., I scheduled an email to go out. To Sean, to Nina, to both of their families, to every guest on the invite list. Attached, the red envelope digitized. Subject line, there won't be a wedding, but there will be truth. Saturday came. The day I was supposed to say I do. Instead, I watched the chaos unfold in real time from a suite overlooking the city. At exactly 9 a.m., the email went out. Every guest, every vendor, both sets of parents, my bridal party, his groomsmen. Sean's inbox flooded. My phone exploded with calls, texts, voicemails, all from him. At 9:14 a.m., he sent the first message. "What the hell is this? Call me." Then, "Emma, please, we can fix this." Then, "It's not what it looks like. Please just talk to me." But I didn't, because for once, he didn't deserve answers. I watched his mother reply to the thread with, "I am heartbroken, absolutely disgusted." One of his cousins shared it on Twitter. By 11 a.m., people were texting me screenshots. It went viral, not just because of the drama, but because of the detail. Every receipt, every lie, every hotel bill, every piece of the trail. Laid bare. People love a good heartbreak story, especially when the villain gets caught. Meanwhile, Nina posted nothing, not a single story, no denial, no "I was hacked," just silence. But I know she saw it, because I got a Venmo request from her for $120. Caption, "For the bridesmaid dress I won't be wearing." I declined it and sent her a $0.01 payment instead. Caption, "For the soul you sold." Sean tried harder. He came to my apartment that afternoon, pounded on the door for 20 minutes, cried. I watched from my security camera as he slumped to the ground, mumbling my name like it was a prayer. But he had already used up all his grace, and I had already burned every bridge. 3 days later, I met with a lawyer, not just for closure, but because I learned something from that joint bank account. Fraud. Sean had been funneling money from our shared credit card into that secret account. Thousands in unauthorized charges. He didn't just cheat, he stole. 6 weeks later, I filed a civil suit. And I won. The judge awarded me $72,000 in damages and court fees. That money paid off the wedding debts, my therapy, a solo trip to Italy, and my new apartment, with a view of the skyline and not a single shadow of my past. As for Nina, she tried to start over. New job, new friends, even a new hair color. But the internet never forgets. Her burner profile exposed. Her employers not impressed. She sent me one last message. "You ruined my life." I never replied, because I wasn't trying to ruin her life. I was just finally living mine, without the lies, the manipulation, the betrayal. It's been 8 months. Sometimes I still wake up expecting a text from him, a note on my mirror, that old familiar feeling of hoping someone else chooses you. But then I remember, I don't need to be chosen by anyone who ever made me feel like I was an option. And I smile because I gave my heart to someone who didn't deserve it. But I took back my power. And that's a love story worth telling.